Good evening, fellow Plexers. This video goes out to Jason from the Plexaholics group, who's trying to have multiple TV show libraries, specifically a regular one and a kids' TV show library. So this video would be for someone who wanted the separate libraries like Jason wants, and not someone who wants to use restrictions built into Plex to only give access to certain rated shows to kids. It all starts with having separate library folder structures. So right now we're looking at my file manager under Linux that's pointed to my Synology NAS. And I have multiple shared folders. We're going to use the one called Media SSD Test. Now this doesn't matter that it's a local folder or a shared media folder. You want one folder for all your Plex media. So we'll click into it and you'll see I have a folder named for every type of Plex library. These are sort folders: movies-library, music, which really isn't going to be a sort folder, it's just going to be a music library folder, other video libraries, photo libraries, and TV libraries. If I click into the TV library sort folder, now I have a TV-main, a TV-kids, a TV-DVR, and a TV-anime. These are separate library folder structures. Now you could also do this in a flat structure. All of these could all be at this level. But then if you have multiple movie libraries, it just makes it very crowded if all your library folders are inside one shared media folder. The nested structure is neater, more organized, plus it's better suited for a Usenet trash guides setup down the road so that you can have multiple root folders for Sonar. If you don't know what that means, Google Trash Guides. You'll see how all the automated software can be set up under different operating systems like Windows, or in a Docker container, or a Synology NAS, or an Unraid system. Just trust me that this nested structure is the best. So if I pop into the TV-main folder, and I'm not using any uppercase letters or any spaces, to make sure it's fully compatible with any type of Linux system I might move my Plex server to. This Plex server that points to this test media folder is running on my Synology NAS, which is a Linux operating system. So inside this, you'll see the show folders. Everything's properly named. And inside the kids TV show library folder, there's one show. So everything on this test server is public domain media. So that's the structure. Let's bring in the test Plex server. So you'll see I have a movie library, a 4K movie library, a documentary library, movie kids library, a library that points to a different shared media folder, 4K media, on the Rusty array that's on that NAS. All the rest are pointed to the SSD array. So we have the TV show library folder. So let's add a kids TV show library folder. Just going to do a space-kids. Next, we'll point to the structure. So I can see the Rusty array, the shared media folder, or the SSD shared media folder, which I'll pick that. Then I'll pick the sort folder for my multiple TV show library folders, and I'll pick the kids folders. Click add, and now because I name everything always from the TV database, I'm going to change the default episode ordering for the library to TVDB and add the library. And it's really that simple. Everything's scanning in. I've got season 1930, season 1931, and the metadata matches up because I strictly adhere to Plex's naming guides. So Jason, it's pretty simple. And I just think that the nested folder structure is the way to go. If I put the kids' shows into the same folder as my main shows, there's no way I can point to it separately for a separate library folder. Now, if you're having trouble with things appearing maybe in both libraries, you need to name your media properly. Now let's just go to here quickly. We'll pull up, oh, I'm sorry. Typing the wrong thing. Let's go to the support articles, the main one. And let's slide down to your media. So I want this, naming and organizing your TV show files. So it gives basic structure. This is a media folder, or it could be a shared media folder on a NAS. You have a separate movie library, separate music library, separate TV show library. This is a flat structure. If you're going to have a second separate TV show library, you would have it at the same level, named something else like TV, shows, kids. I'm simply doing the nested structure instead of the flat structure. So you drop down and you start reading, and you read this section, which tells you the two source IDs that can be used are either from TMDB or TVDB. I prefer naming everything to TVDB. For the longest time, I didn't include the source ID, but I'm starting to now. Plex gives you examples of how to name shows. So here's the library folder. The next level down is the show folder, which you should always include the year. Naming from TVDB, the year isn't part of the proper show name like it is at TMDB, so you just add it in manually. It's always season 01 or season 02 unless you're naming from TVDB and they have the season name for the year like Looney Tunes. So the first season I showed in my example for Looney Tunes was season space 1930. And then you copy the show folder name as the first part of the episode file name. The next part after a space dash space is the season episode coding. It could be S01 E01 with the S and the E either lowercase or capitalized. I prefer capitalized, but it doesn't matter. And then another separator of a space dash space, and then you can put the proper episode name, but Plex does not use this as part of what gets scanned in. This is what's being used along with this and that. So the actual episode name is just for your own benefit. It also tells you how to name a split file. If you have one episode that's in two different files, you can use PT1 or PT2. And there's also other options, CDX, Disc X, what would be Disc 1, spelled either way, DVD 1 or 2, Part 1 or 2, or PT. And then about the only thing that they don't tell you is that you can replace this official separator with a plain period. So this could be Doctor Who 1963 in parentheses, period, SO1, EO1, period, and Earthly Child. But you do not ever replace a natural space with an underscore or a period. But the space dash space can be replaced with a period, and that's legal. So that's about it. You want to go to this document, learn about proper naming and structuring. And if you're going to have multiple libraries, multiple TV show libraries or multiple movie libraries, I suggest the nested structure. And if you have good structure to start with, if you ever move your Plex server, everything will stay intact because you'll move the structure along with your Plex application files. So even though your media will be on a new drive or a new NAS, you're still pointing your TV show library to a main folder called something. Here it's Media SSD-Test. The new system can be named something different, but it's still going to be the same library sort folder and the same actual library folder. So it makes a move from one piece of hardware to another easier by having good structure that you stick with even if all your files get moved to a new system. Forward thinking is the best. Plan for the future. Okay, Jason, I hope this helps, and happy Plexing.